Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Girl Get Up podcast. I am your host, the Aquarian Chancellor, and this is the podcast where I, the host, share my story, the good, the bad, the ugly. I invite my guests. They come on and they share their stories, their journeys, their adventures, the good, the bad, the ugly, in hopes that inspires you, the listening audience, to discover your infinite possibilities and your infinite potential. I have a beautiful, beautiful guest today, Miss Briaina Latrice.
Hi.
Hey. And she has a very, very interesting job, y'all. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to pass the floor on to Miss Briaina. Please share with the audience who you are and what you do.
Yes. Well, thank you, C, again for letting me come on your platform. I'm super excited about the conversation that we are about to get into. And you're so much fun. I'm just like smiling in the background. So I'm like, okay, yeah, this is gonna be real fun. But my name is Briaina Latrice. I am an affair recovery coach. So I coach women who have been cheated on. My tagline is I help them remove the shame of their decision to leave or stay. Because whether you leave or stay, both decisions will be hard. And I am here to help you navigate whatever hard that you choose. And so, yes, that's what I do. I coach women who've been cheated on. And, I don't know how much of my story we'll get into, so I'll probably just leave that out. But I will say the way that I got into this work was I was married. Husband was a serial cheater, not just one time, two times, or three times, or four times. We can keep counting. But I had to learn how to navigate through overcoming infidelity because I too stayed longer than I should have, but I was trying to work it out. And then once I realized that he just wasn't, trying to stop the infidelity, I had to make that hard decision to leave. And so now I take pride in helping other women navigate whatever path they choose.
Child. All I can say. Let's start here, okay? Because I know you said you don't know how much of your story you want to get into. I want to talk about heartbreak at a very early age.
Yes.
We all had those high school sweetheart relationships. If not, most of us have, right?
Mm-hmm.
At first heartbreak. How do you, in your coaching or how you see it through your perception, how do you feel like that shapes the way we date moving forward?
So, can I tell you something?
Oh,
Typically, our first heartbreak is either with our mother or our father.
get into that. I'm gonna go.
So, because that was even my experience. Like once I started to do the work on myself, I realized that my first heartbreak was my father. I didn't grow up with my father in my life, and so I realized that I had rejection issues and abandonment issues. And so that's how I showed up in relationships. So I always thought that if I loved a person harder, then they wouldn't reject me or abandon me like my daddy did. So all of my relationships were me loving a person harder out of fear of rejection and abandonment. And so when we talk about that, in childhood, like we all have traumas. And I'm not to say that everybody's family is traumatic, but a lot of times there has always been one situation or occurrence in our lives that has transpired or developed how we look and how we show up in relationships. And so I would say that, really going back deeper into what is that one experience that has really created how you show up in relationships. And there's this thing called attachment styles.
Yeah.
And when you understand your attachment styles, right, then that also allows you to better understand what it is that's allowing you to connect to toxic situations. So, yeah.
That was so lovely. No, Because then naturally, my next question to you is, because you hear it all the time with women, right? They don't never really talk about it too much with the men. They beating their mothers being their first heartbreak.
Mhm.
But when you say men, right, they always say, oh, she got daddy issues. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
define what is daddy issues? How does that show up?
So you know what? The crazy thing is that it may not show up how you think it's going to show up, right? Because a
Mhm.
lot of times we think it shows up in terms of like being promiscuous and
Mhm.
dating multiple dudes and sleeping with multiple guys, right? And so we're like, okay, she got daddy issues. But let me tell you about me. So on my mom's side, I'm the only child. So I grew up like raised the only child. Um, Overall good child, like graduated high school, went to college, did all the things, graduated from college, married my ex-husband. I was a virgin, right? Saved myself. Super, so I had all of these accomplishments and it didn't show up as daddy issues.
Mhm.
In fact, I even said like, "Hey, I don't have any daddy issues, right? Because I didn't have any hate harbored towards him. I didn't, have any resentment or any of those things that we think the typical daughter and, father relationship it ends up is. And so I it looked like I did everything right, right? But then again, once I started to go through the healing journey of my own self-discovery post infidelity, I realized that I did in fact have daddy issues, but I had disconnected myself from the hurt that I literally had detached myself from these feelings. And so like a part of my story which is really really interesting, I met my dad for the first time after I made the decision to leave my husband for good. So, probably 6 or 7 months post leaving my ex-husband for good, I actually met my daddy for the very first time. And I have a podcast episode called I Married My Father. And the reason why I titled it that was because when I met my daddy, see, for the very first time, he was the spitting image of my ex-husband. From his appearance to his height to his skin tone to how he treats his wife.
You gotta be kidding me.
Yes. And so I say this to say that your daddy does not have to be present in your life for you to still have daddy issues, because, or you don't even have to show up in a way that we think is, because again, look at me, like I'm telling you, like for me, it was like the model child. Like we always laugh in my family about like how I was the good child. I didn't get no whippings by my grandma. Like all my other cousins got whippings by my grandma, but me. But I was just a really good child. But also, understanding when we talk about attachment styles, my perfection was rooted out of fear that people would leave me because my daddy left me. So I grew up becoming a people pleaser out of fear that another person who I love dearly would leave me. And so understanding that these attachment styles and how we show up, it can look different. Like daddy issues it's not one cookie cutter way to say, oh,
So
this
you
person
said
has
something
daddy
so key,
issues.
and you haven't even told your story yet. Do you think that that's what kept you in the relationship for
I
so
know it is. Absolutely.
long? Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Get into that. Let's talk about your history because you have done some pretty amazing things. You're a certified recovery coach. You facilitate groups for Black women in healing.
Mhm.
Also, right now, have a book out that, of course, you're
Yeah.
going around, you're talking to all other podcasts about. And you actually did a TEDx speaker uh,
Yes.
presentation. You've done
Mhm.
that. And out of all of that, what makes you so passionate with your experience, whether it's be your experience or whether it's just something that you're just naturally gravitating to about a fair recovery?
Ooh. Um, it's me seeing how hurt women are. And it's me seeing that women are living their lives in shame. Um, they're embarrassed, they're broken, they're angry, they're confused, and they're internalizing so much of what their partners have done to them. And it like, for me to see just how much women are hurting from this. So I always tell this story too. The very first time that I shared just a snippet of my story, right? I had 75 Instagram followers. And within the hour of me sharing just a little bit of my story, it had already hit 1,500 views.
Oh, wow.
And I say less than an hour, it was probably like 45 minutes, no lie. And it hit 1,500 views. And there were women reaching out to me saying, wow, this resonates with me. Wow, thank you so much. Just lets me know that I'm not alone. And so when I saw that, I was like, man, this is deeper than me. And I
Mhm.
have to go this route and share my story so that it can be healing to more people. And now just getting to see women wake up to who the F they are,
Right.
like that, oh my gosh, like that does something to me when I'm working with women and they realize, yo, I am so powerful. I am so deserving of so much more than I've been allowing myself to receive out of this toxic relationship. I am valuable. I am worthy of the love that I desire in a relationship. And so I love just seeing women have this awakening of
What is your
just who they are.
definition of infidelity?
Um, so infidelity. So I just like the word infidelity because it flows better than like cheating on. So
Mhm.
I say that, for me, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be married. If you are in a committed relationship and a person has emotionally cheated on you or physically cheated on you, um that's kind of how I define it. It's a betrayal of sorts, either emotionally or physically. So actually having the physical act of penetration with somebody, or just emotionally um taking that emotional connection away from their partner and giving that to someone else. And also, you have to be careful about that, because I was just talking to someone the other day and I was telling them that they actually have a study out there that shows that emotional abuse has more long-term damage than physical abuse, because people will stay in emotionally abusive relationships longer than they will physical, not realizing and connecting the dots that it's abuse. So yeah, when I talk about infidelity, it's both
You
emotional
just
and
that thing where
the
you
physical act.
just come to, like you said, who you really are. It's like it really is like you opening up a window and
Yeah.
the sun just hits you on your face when you come to that
Yeah.
realization.
Like you got a breath of fresh air, like, and you feel so good. Like, um, okay, a part of my story is because, like I told you, my ex-husband was a serial cheater. And at one point I asked him, I was like, just why can't you just stop cheating? Why can't you just stop cheating? And his exact response to me was, I can't quit cold turkey.
So okay, that's addiction.
Yeah, basically for him. But it was like, even in that moment, because I was so weak, I just accepted that response because, in my mind, I was like, okay, well, then that means he's gonna work on stopping, right? And then, years later, once I just had this aha moment, and then, girl, I told him, I was like, listen, it's not the same Brie you used to. It's not the same. And he laughed in my face. And I remember, like, years past, like if he would have done that years ago, I would have felt defeated and weak. But I just let him laugh in my face. And I said, okay, I'm glad you feel that way. Like, because I felt so empowered to actually have the strength to stand up to him and look him eye to eye and say, I'm not the same Brianna that you used to do this stuff to. Like, I'm done. And I love that because I have a client now where um she's going through her divorce, and I remember on one of our sessions, she was like, oh my gosh, he called me, and guess what, I didn't call him back. And she
Okay.
was like, that's the first time that I've never called him back, or I've never sent him a text message. She's like, he's been texting me and stuff, and she's like, I haven't done anything. And she says it feels so good to realize, and I asked her, I was like, man, what gave you the strength not to? Because normally, you be weak and you be like answering the phone or calling back. And she was like, man, you made me realize who I was.
Mm.
And she was like, and she said, I'm taking my power back. And that's one thing that I always tell my clients is that we allow people to treat us one step lower than we treat ourselves. And so once we learn how to show up and truly love ourselves, it's a game changer.
It's a I'm telling you, things you used to say yes to, you like, you know what? No, thank you.
Exactly. Yep.
Just that by itself, at first, it might give you a little bit of anxiety, but
Yeah.
then once you settle into that and realize, oh, that ain't so bad. The world is
Mm-hmm.
still functioning, nothing
Mm-hmm.
crashed down on me.
Yep.
I'm still here. I'm still breathing. Is the just one of the best feelings in the world.
Yeah, it's like I didn't die. Wait a minute. I told somebody no for the first time and I'm still here. Like, and they still my friend. Like, we be like,
And if not, more power to you. You have to, when you come home, you got to leave all of that stuff at the door.
yeah.
For coaching, how for people who have experienced some form of cheating or infidelity, for those who decide to stay or go, how do you encourage people to um, renew their relationships?
Ooh, okay. Yeah, I like that question. So you're asking like how do they renew their relationships with their partner
Mhm.
post infidelity?
Stay or work it out, or just they're at that crossroads place where they're trying to decide whether they're going to stay or work it out. How
Yeah.
do you keep, because here's the thing, I don't feel like it depends, because when y'all talk to these people who've been married 30, 40 years, they
Mm-hmm.
been through some stuff. Now, whether they're gonna tell you or not
Yeah. Yeah.
is the thing, but they've been through some stuff, right? People been wanting to walk out the door over who used the last roll of toilet paper.
Exactly.
Y'all know what the Huxtables done told y'all. Forget that.
Right, right.
So for people who are at that crossroads place due to infidelity, what are some things that people can do to kind of renew their relationship?
Yeah. So, um, I call it investigative questions. A lot of the times when a person has been cheated on, they ask questions like, well, who is she? How long has this been going on? How many times have y'all done it? Where did y'all go? What positions were y'all in? And the thing is, all that's doing is adding more damage to your mind, to your heart, to your securities. Like that's not doing anything to move the needle forward in your decision of whether you want to leave or stay, right? It's just hurting you. Um, so when I talk about
You know,
investigative questions, you say what?
you listen.
What I say? What did your friend tell me?
I hear that. I hear that because some stuff you just don't want to know, but
You do want to know.
you do want to know.
No, hey, I get it. And my job isn't necessarily to sit back and say, don't ask it.
Mhm.
But what I'm saying is you ask that and then what? What's the end game for that? Again, how does that help you make your decision on what it is that you want to do?
Mhm.
So ask it away, but just know it serves no purpose. And that's why when people kind of go that route and ask those type of questions and then they stay with their person, typically their relationship is worse than what it was, post infidelity, because y'all haven't really expanded on anything and tried to work through things. And so, if you ask those questions, great. But once you ask those questions, things that you should ask your partner too are like, what were the factors or circumstances that led to you engage in the affair? What needs or desires did the affair fulfill that you felt were missing in our relationship? How did you rationalize or justify your actions at that time? So asking deeper questions is going to help you understand your partner better, right? Also things like just asking your partner, what are some triggers for you, or when you feel like you're not um being appreciated or being seen or valued in this relationship, what are some of those trigger responses for you so that I can be aware of them, so that I can know that, okay, there's something that I need to follow up on or to address. So really learning how, after you ask those questions that serve no purpose, really coming back and asking deeper questions so that you can understand your partner and what they were longing for. And then B, it gives you an understanding to see if, hey, okay, these are some things that I want to work on with this person and build and move
So I
forward.
guess that leads me into my next question of walking through the process. Okay, you just meet a couple without giving away your secret sauce. You just meet a couple. Let's just say the woman has cheated. Do you find that men are more like, once they've heard that their spouse have cheated, they're more like over the relationship, or are they more willing to work things out?
You know what? Pre becoming a coach, I would have said yeah. But now that I am doing this work, I am seeing that so many men are willing to work it out, and they're hurting just as much as women. The only difference is that they do not talk about it. They do not talk about it. Like, they talk to me about it just because of the work that I do. But like when I tell them, oh my gosh, come on the podcast, share your story. Like, and these people can be 4 or 5 years removed from it in a whole nother relationship. But men just will not talk about their experiences of being cheated on. And so I would say that, both people are out here being hurt just the same. It's just that women are
Why
talking
do
more
you
about it.
think most, based on your experience, why do you think most couples deal with infidelity?
Ooh, why do most couples deal with infidelity? Um, there's a disconnect somewhere. So, and that's the thing, like, we definitely have to learn how to stay connected in our relationships. Um, and I always tell people, when you're in relationships, there shouldn't be this 50-50 type narrative. It should be 100-100, meaning that both of you come complete, and then all y'all can do is just multiply that. It's just exponentially greater after that. Like, you both bring your own tables, right? And then those tables are the foundation for you to build your empire on. And when you are so wrapped up in a vision of whatever it is, you're right, for the relationship, you don't have necessarily time to worry about small things like other women, because because the purpose of relationship is to multiply, right? Like, if we're talking spiritually or scripturally, like, Eve was created for Adam because he was like, man, you need a mate. But then she also came to help him to be able to do more tasks, right? And so when you come together in a relationship, y'all both should know who y'all are, right? And how y'all both can exponentially expand whatever tables that y'all both have. And so I feel like a lot of people are in relationships and there's no purpose. And
Mm.
so when the purpose of, so like when the vanity of, oh, I got a partner, and when the vanity of, oh, she fine, has worn out, then what are we doing here? And if you don't have a purpose that you're building towards, well, then your mind gets busy, you disconnect from each other, and then
Welcome to the Girl Get Up podcast, the podcast that inspires you, the listening audience, to go out and discover your infinite possibilities. You can catch the Girl Get Up podcast every Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on iHeartRadio, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts.